Welcome to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. Are you ready to discover some niche business ideas that actually work? Well, it's time for a motivational kick to jumpstart your next big idea. Here's your host, Spencer Haas.
Hey everyone, welcome to another Niche Pursuits Podcast. On the show today, I have Nick Loper. Nick owns ShoeSniper.com, which is a shoe comparison site that has generated nearly $10 million in shoe sales for its advertising partners. Nick now also blogs and has his own podcast at SideHustleNation.com. Today I want to figure out why he's been so successful. So Nick, welcome to the show.
Spencer, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to discuss your business a little bit. And before we go specifically into the websites that you have and some of the affiliate commissions you're generating, tell me about your background a little bit. What were you doing before you created ShoeSniper.com?
Well, I'm a Seattle kid, born and raised. Well, not born, but raised, and was going to school at University of Washington. And while I was there, I was interning at an online footwear retailer in Seattle. And up until that point, had no idea that people really bought shoes online. This was probably right as Zappos was getting its start, and this really was the early days of the e-commerce.
And what
revolution.
Year approximately was
this?
That?
This was 2004. So
okay,
and obviously I, at that point was probably doing all my Christmas shopping on Amazon, but it wasn't for like stuff like shoes and stuff. So the kind of the free returns and everything like that hadn't quite evolved yet.
Right.
So that was really my first introduction to online marketing, online retail, affiliate marketing, AdWords, SEO, all this stuff. And it was really, really fun. But after leaving there, I started doing some affiliate marketing on the side and naturally selected shoes because that was all I knew at that point. So I was doing direct to merchant pay-per-click advertising, which is, I don't even know if that's like allowed anymore on Google. But it was back in the day where you had to like tag your ad with a little AF sign at the very end, like AFF, to like let searchers know for some reason, like they cared, like this was an affiliate ad. And anyways, it would go straight to, straight to the company or straight to some other company. And,
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not allowed anymore.
And I was ecstatic. My rent was $320. I was ecstatic, after a couple months to like be paying my rent with with this
nice
little part-time game on the side.
Yeah.
And I wish I could have $320 rent again.
Yeah, that would be nice. I hear you there. So you got started out. You actually were able to work for another successful website doing, selling shoes online. So perfect experience there. Logical step. Makes sense that you'd go and try and do that on your own. And you were specifically using paid traffic. But then and that was even before you created ShoeSniper. You were just sending traffic directly to the merchant sites. So what made you decide to create your own site? Was it because of the success you saw there?
Yeah, I saw there was an opportunity there, but the biggest reason was scalability. So I wanted to send people to the product or to the store that had the best price on the certain product. But it took a lot of manual, the shoe prices change all the time. So, and, if you're trying to build hundreds of ads, it was a lot of upkeep to try and, make sure that each one was pointing to the right store all the time and changing out the links. If it wasn't, it became a huge pain in the butt. So I thought if I could link instead to pages that brought in all the shoe stores and like, okay, this is like a basic comparison shopping site.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be kind of allow the business to scale, and it would automatically show the best price. And I wouldn't have to worry about swapping out the links as often.
Right.
And so that was the idea. And actually the previous, before it was called ShoeSniper, it was called ShoesRUs.net. And I think you can look it up in the Wayback Machine. Like, it's hideous. Like it was built in 2005 and it looked even really dated, even at that point.
Right.
So it was amazing that it worked, but it did. So I was very thankful for that.
Yeah, we all have to start somewhere. So why did you decide to change the domain name itself? Why didn't you just update the design?
So I did. Well, I thought it I didn't love the .NET. I never loved the .NET.
Okay.
So I think this was a mistake starting out. Like I should have, and ShoeSniper was available at the time. I registered it like 3 or 4 years later. So I just didn't do a very good job of, searching out kind of a brandable domain and I never I never got a cease and desist from, Toys R Us or anything, but I felt like that might be a risk going forward if it got big.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. So maybe give us some timeline. You said you went to UW there in Washington, which I'm from Washington as well. So
Yes,
at least
Northwest.
I live there. I live there right now, anyways. So, but where you work? I mean, you worked for another company for a little while. How long after college did you have your own job? How long did it take you to quit your job and do this full time?
So after school, right, I did what everybody did, or what every parent hopes their kid does after college, and got a job. And so my job was with Ford Motor Company, and they moved me from Seattle to the East Coast, which at that time was part of their strategy. We want to move people, far away from home, away from their comfort zone, so all they know is work, and so they work hard. Like, it was a decent strategy.
Yeah.
And it worked because I didn't know a lot of people outside of work. And so I had a lot of free time, especially on weeknights. And so that's kind of when the idea for the shoe site was born, and kind of put the job up for bid on guru.com at the time. And the developer that I met, or I got a bunch of bids back, but one of the guys was actually only just a half hour away in Virginia. So we were able to meet in person, which was really cool. And the majority of his team was in India, but he was kind of like the U.S. sales office. So it was really cool to go and meet him in person and get that deal hammered out.
No, that's awesome. So how long did it take you before you quit your job? How'd you make that happen?
So this was not an overnight success. This was between 2005 and 2008. This was 3 years of nights and weekends for me. And during that time, let me tell you about another side hustle mistake I made.
Okay.
So while the shoe site was being built, and with any software project, like, inevitable delays are going on, but there was one particular model of shoe that was really, really popular. It was called the New Balance 992. It was like their flagship running shoe.
Okay.
So I went to GoDaddy. I registered newbalance992.com, like a perfect exact match domain, right?
Nice.
I was like, oh, why has no one done this? This is incredible. So slapped together this terrible looking site. There's a pre-WordPress, or maybe WordPress existed, but I didn't know about it. Pre-WordPress, terrible looking site, and just started pumping pay-per-click traffic to it, and killed it. I loved this site, but I found a reason, a couple months later, why no one had registered the site, because I got the cease and desist from New Balance corporate, and said, this is trademark infringement. You need to shut this down.
Oh, the terrible cease and desist.
So lesson learned, build your own brand. Don't try and piggyback off somebody else. So it was painful at the time, but it was a very important learning experience, I think.
Yeah, I've gone through the same thing. I have purchased branded domains in the past. And for me, they've all been very small little sites. So getting them shut down was not a big deal, but I have received the dreaded cease and desist. And so it is my advice for people listening out there. Just don't mess with other brands. Don't buy a branded domain. In the long run, it's better to just have your own brand, get your own domain, and build it from the ground up. So, but it's a lesson that I had to learn through experience as well. So I hear you on that.
Yeah. So I was super conservative in kind of the timeline to actually get up the nerve to quit. I think I wanted to replace my salary for 12 months, or maybe it was 6 months. It was a long time ago, but we were going through another round of layoffs at Ford. Like, this was obviously a very tough time for the auto industry. And I knew my time to quit was coming. It was on the horizon anyways. And I was really, like, I would hate to see someone else who really needed that job kind of lose their position because of me, like if I had more seniority than someone else on our team. So I ended up raising my hand and kind of voluntarily quitting before the layoffs happened.
Okay. So did you get a little bit of a severance package or something because of that, or?
Oh, no, it was just
nothing like that.
It was just like, all right, goodbye. Here's my 2 weeks.
Well, that's too bad.
So what sucked about it was And actually, the timing ended up being really, really good because on day one of retirement, like I have this grand vision of, my life as an entrepreneur. And on day one of retirement, a couple of things happen. Server crashes for just randomly. I don't know why. But then Google decides that this is the exact day and time they're going to decide to crawl the site. So they refresh all the ads and they say, this is terrible. Like, the site doesn't load. When it does, it takes 10 minutes. Like, so it was Google slap on day one.
Ouch.
And even after the server was back up, they're like, this is an affiliate site. This is pretty crappy. We don't really like you. And so it was like 3 months, like the entire summer was spent, trying to get back in their good graces. And as you know, they're not known for their customer service. So it was just...
No, they're not.
It was incredibly stressful. And this is summer of 2008. Economy's gone to hell. And I was like, what did I just do? I turned in the keys to my company car. It's like I had, perfect track record, never had any issue with quality score before. And finally was able... You know what they finally said after the end of 3 months and we made all these tweaks and investments and changes? They came back and said, we made a mistake. Yeah, your site's fine.
No way.
I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
After all of that.
But it's been okay since then. So
you got it back up and running after, I'm sure you were, pulling your hair out and just not loving it.
I used to have hair. I'm bald. That's probably what caused it.
It's all gone now. But and to be clear, I know we sort of mentioned this previously for people listening that almost all of your traffic was coming from paid traffic, right?
Yeah, this was and still is primarily an AdWords play. And whenever you have all your eggs in one basket, there's definitely some risk there.
Yeah. Man, so you got it back up and running, and tell us about some of the success. I mean, what were some of the highs? As far as if you're willing to share revenue or amount of traffic. Maybe one of your better months or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Some of the highs. So today the site is getting around 1,000 visitors a day, and I think the record, like on some Cyber Monday in years past, was probably over 4,000 visitors, and it was just insane. So I remember there was this one day we went to this Jimmy Buffett concert, which I'm a kind of a parrot head, and I'm not afraid to admit it.
Okay.
But I was like, hey, this concert, he sells out, or he sold out last year. So we bought like 2 sets of tickets. I don't know, like we weren't communicating, my wife and I. And so we bought 2 sets of tickets and had to unload, one of them at a loss. And I was kind of bummed because it was my bad. We weren't communicating. But then we got back from the concert that night, after spending all this money on the stupid tickets, and we looked at the stats and we're like, oh, it was okay. They're more than paid for. We're doing well. So that was kind of fun, because we didn't do any work and still was able to bring in some serious cash that day.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that the greatest feeling? Sort of the whole online world. I mean, it still is for me that, I go to bed at night and I wake up in the morning, there's already sales, there's already, traffic, and it's a great feeling.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really attracted me to building this kind of business. Is it's not, I don't want to say it's passive income, but it can be, or it doesn't require, you're not trading dollars for hours in a traditional sense.
Exactly.
So at the peak, the site was pretty consistently earning over 10K a month, which for me being 25, 26, it was just really incredible. And of course, I have worked my butt off to get there, but it was really, really rewarding. And kind of in contrast to my work at Ford, you could see the direct impact of your effort on the bottom line. And so that's what made the work really rewarding for me. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a nice, that's a nice amount of revenue. 10K a month, I think anybody would be happy with for sure. So the site was doing very well. And I don't know if this is maybe too granular for people, but I'm interested. What type of commissions are you making on one pair of shoes? So let's say you sell a $100 pair of shoes. Give us the breakdown of what you're making on that.
So it varies by advertiser, but the site-wide average is probably 12%.
Okay. Yeah, and so I'm just comparing that with the Amazon Associates program, for example. Amazon starts you off at I think 6 or 6.5%, and then you can move up to 7 or 7.5 or more based on the amount of sales that you get. So so you do a little bit better by sending them directly to some of these direct vendors of
Yeah,
shoes.
with Amazon, and Amazon was not on the site for the longest time, actually up until just this spring, because, like you said, they start really low. I thought they started like at 4. And it's
I think they
really,
do for certain products, yeah.
and then you build it up like as you refer more sales. But one thing I didn't realize about Amazon is they convert like crazy. So their conversion rate is triple, any other advertiser.
Okay.
It's insane. So even though they pay less, the EPC is still still kind of on par with everybody else.
Right. So are you doing quite a bit in Amazon sales now then?
Yeah, I'm having a record month with Amazon this month, and I say record, but it's only been a few months, but it's going pretty well with them. So I guess the site itself is, it's not doing the volume that it used to, but it's still kind of plugging away. And I'm really thankful to have a great VA who runs most of the day-to-day operations.
Yeah, no, that definitely, when you have somebody that can handle most of that, that's great. You talk about, you sort of hit a peak and it's not quite doing the volume that it is right now. And I want to specifically go into buying traffic. Is that still a viable option for people out there that maybe want to start their own affiliate site?
For affiliates, I think AdWords is going to be really tough.
Okay.
I think there's probably still some opportunity on Facebook and maybe some other channels. I personally haven't explored that yet. But the reason why is AdWords is really anti-affiliate, because it's hard to convince them that, when your business model is to send traffic to somebody else so you can get paid, like they hate that. Like they want to be that person, right? They don't need another intermediary in there. And so it can take some effort to prove that you're not just a bridge page, that you're adding some significant value in the process. And for the shoe site, the kind of the unique selling proposition that other comparison sites didn't have was like this product level coupon integration. And so you end up beating the price grabbers and the biz rates probably 3 times out of 4, 2 times out of 3, just by adding different coupons, and that kind of shuffles around the rankings on the page. So that's been pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. So it's getting tougher and tougher as an affiliate to use AdWords.
Yeah, in 2009, the average cost per click was maybe in the low 30 cents per click range, and so that's up by almost a third. And on top of that, the commissions from the advertisers keeps getting cut too. Maybe I said the average today is 12%. Maybe it used to be 15. Mm-hmm. And so kind of getting squeezed from both angles and playing in this narrower and narrower margin in the middle.
Yeah. Now I'm actually quite fascinated with the paid traffic strategy. Can you give us, before we move on, can you give us an idea of the type of keywords that you're bidding on, or any sort of tips for people that do want to get involved in AdWords? What should they be looking at for terms and things like that to bid on?
So I'm aiming after like the very long tail product specific terms. If I went out there and bid on shoes, I would blow my entire budget in a day and have almost nothing to show for it, because these people are at the very beginning of their decision making process. So I want to catch people at the end of their decision making process and just help them find where they can get the best deal on this specific product.
Mm-hmm. And so that makes sense. And how are you finding these keywords? I'm sure there's a lot of different ways you could manually find all the brands of the shoes. Are you sort of taking the brand name of the shoe and then adding, some other long tail phrase and doing that with every model of shoe or something like that?
Yeah, just about. We've got a pretty in-depth process built out at this point.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, we found, certain brands work better than other brands. And it's just kind of been a process of trial and error. So we'll build out a set of ads for, this season's inventory or this season's catalog, and maybe it works and maybe it doesn't, and then kind of you make adjustments, so you can adjust the bids and you can adjust the copy and see what changes need to make, or shut it down entirely and say, oh, that one didn't work. Well, it's too expensive to bid on or whatever. We'll focus on something else.
Mm-hmm. So if AdWords is getting more and more difficult, are there other paid traffic strategies that you're using or that you maybe think people listening in should try out?
So I'm also on Bing.
Okay.
Which doesn't bring the volume, but I'm seeing a little bit of a Bing renaissance, or Bing Yahoo renaissance, which I'm happy to see, because I think the Google monopoly is dangerous for a lot of reasons. So I'm really happy to see kind of those numbers increase, and the costs are much lower, and Bing will send you statistics like Bing shoppers spend X% more. I don't know what it is, but it's so that's been a good avenue as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Bing and Yahoo definitely good. And so I guess the key for people that want to get involved in sort of an affiliate site using paid traffic is they just need to maybe test a lot of different options, and maybe AdWords isn't going to be the best one.
Yeah, I would be nervous about making a recommendation for anyone to start an affiliate site specifically to with the intent to do AdWords right now. I think that's a recipe for low quality scores and maybe not even getting off the ground.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to start a site from scratch today, would you go into shoes? Would you go into creating an affiliate site? What would you do today, and what would you recommend for people today that they want to start something?
Well, I still love the affiliate space. I think there's still tremendous room for growth there. I just got back from the Affiliate Summit show. I've been 5 or 6 different times. They always put on a great show, and you can just see how the industry has grown and matured. If I was starting over today, I would build on WordPress. So ShoeSniper is 100% custom, and it's crazy expensive. I think there are a bunch of data feed tools that you can use to kind of insert and integrate all these product catalogs, maybe with one line of code, or there's probably smarter ways to do it than how we're doing it, which is a very intensive and kind of resource heavy process of like importing the raw data files. So it's kind of a lot of legacy systems from 2005, 2006
Right.
that they're probably cheaper and better solutions for today. But I'm kind of married to the old stuff. So I think there's definitely still some opportunity there. I don't know. I think the biggest issue is trying to figure out what your unique selling proposition is. For us, it was the coupon integration on the product level and have that reflect in the price. But if you're trying to, that's the thing. Like if you're trying to build just some affiliate site with some like a blog and some links, like people need to have a reason to come to your site. Like what value are they getting from it?
I agree. The first consideration needs to be, why is it important to the user? What value can you create? That is just, it's always been important, but it's just more and more important now, in particular with more competition, more people trying to create affiliate sites. People need to think about how they can stand out and do things better. But from a traffic perspective, what would you recommend people do to get traffic to their sites? Should they focus on SEO? Other traffic methods? What do you think?
Well, I like paid search because it was like kind of this immediate hit, and you could tell whether or not it was working. But that said, it's crazy expensive, and you can lose your shirt if you don't know what you're doing, or like, and I didn't know what I was doing either, but I kind of started with some very small tests and kind of ramped up from there. So if you can figure out the SEO game, I would definitely go that route. And depending on your niche, like it actually might not take that many links. Like if you're building a valuable resource and you just do a couple guest posts, I feel like you have a really good chance to rank for those keywords.
Absolutely. And people know that I'm all about the SEO side of things. I truly believe that content is the way to go. If you can create valuable content and make your site, like you said, a resource, but something that people can find your site in so many different ways, through search. It really is a great way to go. So I'm a big believer in the free traffic from Google model, if you will.
Definitely.
So we've dug into ShoeSniper. Is there anything specifically about that site, any lessons learned, tips, or anything that you want to share with us?
So, okay, I guess what I'm most excited about with ShoeSniper is kind of, building the brand, and really when we rebranded to ShoeSniper, my idea was, in addition to the coupon stuff, there was going to be this like pick your or name your price feature. It was going to be kind of like Priceline, right? It's like, well, say these shoes are $100, but I really want them, but I really want them when they hit $70. And so you could enter in your email, hits, and you'll get a price alert trigger when they hit 70. And it's been kind of like, I thought way more people would use that because it was kind of, expensive to build, and I was really excited about it. But I think most people kind of want that instant gratification. So if there had been a cheaper way to test that out, that would have been good. But, that's one of the takeaways, is just testing different stuff out, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Some great lessons learned, for sure. And I think that, overall, you've shared a lot of great experiences with specifically ShoeSniper.com, but I know you also have some other things going on now. What other projects do you have, and what are you most excited about right now?
So a couple of things that I'm really excited about. One is SideHustleNation.com. This is my newest blogging project. And speaking of SEO, like I just kind of rebranded. This was a personal blog that I rebranded in the spring, and now it's starting to get traffic, organic traffic from searches like Side Hustle, Side Hustle Ideas, Side Hustle businesses and stuff. And so that's been really rewarding because I've been investing some time about that, or investing some time in there.
Right.
But it's been just a ton of fun. I feel like I'm really starting, I've been blogging for years, but now I feel like I have some direction. I'm really starting to make some connections and have a lot of fun with it. And plus with the podcast, the feedback has been incredible, and it's given me an excuse to talk to people I otherwise, probably never would, like even yourself, like we probably never would have connected without having the podcast as an excuse.
No, I agree. Having a blog is awesome for building connections, and in particular when you're blogging about something that you're very excited about and very interested in, which clearly you are. Same on my end with my blog. I just enjoy talking about business, online businesses, and everything in between. But
right. Way more than shoes. Like I could never be. Like I can never create like the blog. I mean, ShoeSniper has a blog, but it's like it's like an afterthought because nobody visits it. Like we don't care. I don't want to invest any time in there because I don't care about shoes. But here I figured did some soul searching, and it's like, okay, this kind of idea of part-time entrepreneurship, because that's how it started for me for 3 years. This is something I can really get excited about and kind of help people along in their journey.
So maybe dig into that theme just a little bit as far as, who is Side Hustle Nation for? What are you talking about specifically there?
So this is for everybody who you're not necessarily the person that hates your job. Like I never necessarily hated my job, but I never saw myself climbing the ladder. Like this isn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And so I was looking for entrepreneurship as a path out, as an escape route, perhaps. And so that's what Side Hustle Nation is all about. Building a business on the side that's low investment, low risk, and that can work for you. So you're not, so you're diversified in your income streams. Basically, like any investment, it's inherently risky to have all your, like I learned with AdWords, right? It's inherently risky to have all your eggs in one basket and to be depending on one source for your livelihood. I think specifically like in our generation, like previous generations, that maybe wasn't as big of an idea, but specifically for our generation, it's, a ton of people are all about, doing the work on the side to kind of get that freedom and security that they don't have from their day jobs.
Yeah, I love that. I love that theme, actually. That's exactly how I was as well. I was building websites in the evenings, late at night, after I worked my full-time job. And I did that for a few years. It took me a while doing things on the side before I eventually built it up to where it was a full-time income producing source. And so I love that idea. It's really what a lot of people are trying to do. More and more people, like you said, are not as satisfied or are not as comfortable in their chosen career path, and they're looking to change that. And so I love the fact that your site addresses that and tries to encourage people to do that.
Yeah, it's given me an outlet to try all these different side hustles and then, share the results. So that's been fun too. But yeah, other than that, we've got a trip. My wife and I've got a big trip coming up to Asia in the fall. She's been saving up her vacation for a long time. So we've got 5.5 weeks to play tourist and
nice
and practice. I can practice being a digital nomad in Thailand, and really excited to check that out and see if we can handle life on the road.
Yeah, 5.5 weeks. That's a long time. I've been gone for about 2.5 weeks, I think is the longest vacation I've taken up to this point. So I got to be honest, I was ready to come home after that long. So we'll see if you can survive 5.5 weeks.
Yeah, it'll definitely be an adventure.
No, that sounds like a lot of fun. That's great. So as far as the best place where people can follow along with what you're doing or stay in touch with you, where should they go?
Check me out. I'm at sidehustlenation.com and on Twitter at nloper. It's NLOPER.
Awesome. That's perfect. Thank you so much. So anybody listening out there, go ahead and follow along with Nick at sidehustlenation.com. Nick, again, I appreciate your time so much, the advice that you've shared with your site, ShoeSniper.com, and just a lot of the lessons learned along the way. So thanks a lot.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yep, we'll see you, Nick.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.